day 62, and I have not turned on this camera for days. But I've accomplished a few things, and there is still hope. Let's put it that way. So, let's talk about where we're at. Brakes are plumbed. All the lines, hard lines are run for the brakes. All the way, the back, they're completely done. The front, they are done up to the caliper. Tomorrow, I take my drop beams to have the kingpins put in them. And to have, when I pick them up, it'll be the drop beams attached to the spindles. And be good to go. Time to bring them back and start messing with my coils to finish my drop. See how everything's going to lay out. Was going to put a couple of new O-rings in the power steering pump, and realized that these come apart like extremely easy. So I ended up putting the big O-ring. I didn't realize that if you take this line off and this bulkhead fitting out, this whole assembly just slides right off. No clue. Learn something new every day. So I went to get the O-rings, and it comes as like a kit with the new reservoir. I don't know. I bought it. It was only $22 or something. Hopefully this thing will be nice and tight and not leaking fluid. New line. Took this line, which is the factory line off the 92. Put a union in and used my original line off the steering column, or off the steering box that I had. This is off the 78. So it is plumbed, good to go. Put a low pressure line on too. So we're ready here. Let's see, what else? Work our way around here. Heater box is in. See my heater core, new heater core peeking out there. That, put the sound deadener up underneath there. Ended up getting a different shifter boot. Bought this awesome boot off of Amazon. I honestly think it goes to a Peterbilt or something. And I built this boot base. I opened up the hole quite a bit larger so it wouldn't have any contact anywhere, even if a mount broke or something. And then I had this big boot, which was 8x8, and got a piece of 1/4 inch thick sheet plastic. Heated the heck out of it, cut it to fit and everything, and then just heated the heck out of it and kind of screwed it down. These aren't the screws I'm going to use, but these are the ones that I had, just to hold it down while it cooled down. So hopefully when I take it off, it'll be formed to the floor. Got that done. Ran some duct work. I don't know if you can see it up to my defrosters. Just mainly to figure out how everything's going to lay under the dash, because it is electrical time. So it's time to get all these wires traced, figure out what everything goes to, and some of my cables coming out from my heater box, and start wiring. It's that's my AC, so you know. AC off, AC on. All right, got my seat tracks in here. Had my one of my buckets sitting in there just to kind of see how it would sit to the steering wheel. Took the bases off the buckets, or off this driver's seat. I was just kind of messing around here trying to figure out how everything's going to lay to the wheel. I just have the wheel sitting on here right now. So I think I can make these seats work, but it's going to take some time to figure out the bracketry and build something, overbuild something that's very safe, and that would handle an impact, God forbid it happens. So, got that going on. Got plan B on the seat, which is sitting right here, underneath all this mess. So that's plan B. If I can't get these buckets to work in a reasonable amount of time, it'll get the bench seat, the best of the bench seats that I have, with Mexican blanket tucked in and wrapped around or something. I don't know. So got on the rear end, we got, I took these big heavy brackets that hold the calipers on. Man, they were corroded and nasty. So I blasted those, got them painted. You can see, got my new brake lines run. Got my new brake lines run all on the inside of the frame. Got them secured with some metal bands with the rubber in them, so they're nice and secure. I think that's it back here. That's the update, I believe. Day 62. We still got hope. Next several days is going to be this. We're going to take this and we're going to put it on this. And at some point, I'm going to take that key and go like this and hope it goes vroom vroom. Day 62, we out. Day 64, and here is where we are at. Kingpins are in, as in reamed, ready to be put together. So, dropping out all the old suspension finally. For those of you that haven't done this before, dropping it is pretty easy. The biggest problem you'll run into is breaking all the steering joints loose. This is the arm from the steering gearbox. All of these, if you happen to be lucky enough like me and you're just dropping the whole assembly, hey, good for you. Because these things sometimes just do not want to break loose. I had the other side. It was kind of binding up, so I thought, well, I'll just knock it out. As you can see, it did not knock out. It is still stuck in there. And I air hammered and pickle forked and everything, and it still will not break loose. I finally just dropped the whole thing. So everything came out for me in kind of one big jumbled up assembly. I'm lucky enough to have some donor trailing bars, and obviously I'm putting in the new beams. I have a new steering link, all that stuff. Obviously not using any of this stuff, so including the shocks. I just dropped them from the top. So all of this will slide out, and we will start putting together the new assemblies tonight. Gonna put the drop beams, got the spindles ready to go. So goal tonight is to get all that set up in there. I also have another set of springs. Well, I have 3 sets total, but I am going to, I think, I'm going to cut some of this coil. I think I'm going to start with 1 full spring. I'll cold cut it, not with a torch. I don't ever suggest cutting those with a torch. I've cut plenty of them with the wheel of death. So I'm going to do that. I'll take 1 complete spring out. I've got another set in there, and I've got another set that I pulled out of the 78 as well. So if I screw up and that takes it down too far, I have backup plans. I want to take it down as far as I can without changing the camber and making it go ugly. So we'll see how this goes. So Bryson just helped me put the beams up in there. So we are slowly getting these babies put in. These are the arms off of the 78, and a lot of the stuff on the front of the 78 looked like it had just been replaced, including those bushings. The steering arm that goes across, the links, they all looked really new. Still had the part number tags on them and everything, so I don't think it was that long ago. That's what I'm going to attempt to use. All the joints feel very tight, no problems. So anyway, we got these sitting in here. I'm going to go around and start tightening everything up. I'm going to cut my springs tonight, try to get them sitting up in there, and see how everything lays. What I was saying earlier, and I think I cut myself off, is these, for the most part, are very easy. I mean, you got bolts here on the end of the beam. You got your nuts on the end of the arms. You know, unless you're dealing with something that is just completely rusted out and horrible, that stuff all comes apart fairly easy with an impact. It's those steering arms and the joints where they go into the knuckle and everything, that separating them things is just a bear sometimes. But like I said, I got lucky and was able to just basically drop the whole thing out as an assembly. So since none of this stuff is going back on, I can do that. John Pennington, got you a couple of cores. Next time I'm in South Carolina, they will be yours. So I saw that giant pile you got though recently. You may not need more. I don't know. But by the time I'm done, I'll have 2 sets of cores for you. All right. Back to work. End of day 64. It's a pretty good day, I think. I didn't get done as much as what I wanted to, but here we are. So that looks the same. Once I got in here and I realized, you know, I've got to get these pockets chassis coated. So I went ahead and did that and got that out of the way. Didn't do everything, but everything that's going to be kind of hard to get to with the spring, I went ahead and did that. Got that taken care of on both sides. And those brake brackets, took care of both of those on both sides. So that's done, that's drying. I'll let that dry overnight. Also cut my springs and went ahead and coated those. That's how confident I am that this one coil cut is going to be perfect. That's how confident I am. That was probably a mistake. So a couple of shock brackets, some washers. That's the pocket that sits at the bottom of the spring. Got both of those, got all that stuff taken care of. So they're all chassis coated, and we are ready to finish that stuff up tomorrow. I talked to Clint, Casco Logics. He's working on my rotors, so I think within the next several days, we'll be able to wrap up everything in the front. Hopefully by the end of this weekend, maybe be able to wrap everything up in the front and have this thing sitting back down on the ground. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm not going to have any wheels. Woody's got my wheels. He got some epoxy primer on them tonight. He sent me a picture. They look good. That epoxy primer is like a satin black color. So, although I think he plans to put some paint on them this weekend. So maybe by early next week, yeah, I'll probably be able to get those things mounted and balanced by Tuesday. And then I can set the truck down and see what we're looking for ride height. And I'll have, if I haven't cut those springs too far, you know, we'll see how that goes. So day 64, we're gaining, but we're not gaining. We're not gaining as quickly as we need to be gaining. Got the wiring spread out, and that's another thing that's going to be this weekend. I'm hoping to get the wiring laid out, you know, all throughout here. Same with under the dash. Get all my switches hooked up. Get all that stuff hooked up. I'd like to be able to hit a key and cycle the starter. See if I can get stuff turning. I know I'm not going to be able to fire it up. I know I'm a ways off from that. But I would like to at least see power. So I may have to put the inner structure back on and start kind of feeding some wires around there as well. Figure out how things are going to lay out. I went down and looked at Larry's truck today. On Larry's truck, he had the computer slides into a compartment on the driver's side of the firewall. And funny enough, as I'm looking at this, that may be the new home for the computer. I don't know. That might work out. I'm going to have to figure out where everything drains up in there. Obviously, I can't put it somewhere where the water is going to be running across it. What I was thinking before I was thinking about this is just on the inner fender right here, on that inner structure, mount a box that's somewhat weatherproof. So, I don't know. I'll get to that once we get all this stuff laid out. But hopefully by the end of the weekend, this is Thursday night. Hopefully by the end of the weekend, I will have this all ready to sit back down when I get some tires and wheels to put on it. I can't even use the Lincoln wheels because my hubs are going to be too big. I don't think I have any 5 on 4.5 wheels laying around here. Unless I go back over and steal Mark/cams. I don't know. We'll see if I need to have it on the ground. But anyway, end of the weekend, have everything buttoned up here. I could even start, if I have my rotors back, I can even start bleeding my brakes and making sure that's going to work out. But we'll see how it goes. So all that there, wiring starting to lay it out. Maybe hit a key and cycle the starter. At least get power to that. Yeah. Like I keep saying, once I get through this non-comfort zone stuff, and I get to my comfort zone stuff, my bodywork stuff, we'll be good. So, day 64, we're done. Welcome to day 65 of the F100 day challenge. So, day 65 is the day that I completed the installation of the drop beams. Thank you, John Pennington at John Rod's Drop Beams. Let's show you what I did to get these things on here. All right. Honestly, I should have filmed the whole operation, but I got going and I don't have enough storage space on my phone to just click it on and just let it roll. I just don't. So here's the deal. I had them bolted in, where they mount on the far end, and they were just kind of sitting here attached to the trailing arms. So as of last night in yesterday's video. So I had talked about, I chassis coated inside the pocket here, the spring pocket. I chassis coated the springs, the cup down in there that the spring sits on. So when I came out this evening, I was able to slide the spring in, bolt it down, 9/16 bolts. There's a strap underneath here that holds that spring in place. So I had already cut a coil out of that spring, talked about that last night. So you got to take that coil where it comes around and slide it in this little pocket right here. And it's got to be in there. Put some pressure on it. Put the jack underneath it, kind of like I've got here. Put some pressure on it, lift it up. Put that strap in, bolt that in. Your spring is attached. Once you have it there on the top, and you have it there over the little cup, and bolt that down, your spring ain't going nowhere. It's set. This whole assembly will only drop so far. So you can put a little pressure on it, bring it up. Now, I'm going to tell you what's going to be the hardest part of this, the installation of the drop beams. This is a 3/4 inch drill bit. Does a regular body man have a 3/4 inch drill bit? Not this body man. You know who does? A machinist. When you've got a friend who is a machinist, thank you, Clint Stevenson, and he comes through on a Friday night and drops you off a couple of 3/4 inch drill bits, that's a friend right there. Thank you. All right, so what you have to do with this 3/4 inch drill bit is you have to take and you have to drill out this spindle. This what was a tapered hole that used to be where this steering link would bolt in. You have to drill that out. It was tapered. It needs to be a regular hole, 3/4 inch hole, to be able to install what I'm going to call the C brackets that come with the drop beams. These, you've got a gap to fill, right? You raised this whole area right here, this whole spindle, you've raised it 4.5 inches. So you got a gap you got to fill where, because this steering link is designed to come through in a particular place, namely that hole in that trailing arm. So it comes through there, and you can't get these to bolt up anymore. You're 4.5 inches off. So John has designed these C brackets, and they attach after you drill that 3/4 inch hole. Comes with the nut and the bolt assembly, and you use the C bracket to fill that gap. So now I'm going to give you a tip about this, mainly because I found out the hard way. Do not bolt this C bracket to the spindle first. Bolt this C bracket to the joint. This C bracket now has the tapered hole, right? The tapered hole that used to be in the spindle. This C bracket has the tapered hole. Bolt these together here. Get them tight. Get your cotter pin in there is fine. You can put it in now. And then take and bolt the C bracket to the spindle. If you put the C bracket to the spindle first, there's not enough room to get this link down far enough to get it into this hole, to bring it up from the bottom of the hole. It hits right here, and you can't bring it down far enough. So there's your tip. C bracket to the joint first, then bolt it to the spindle. After you borrow your 3/4 inch drill bit from your friend. Again, thank you, Clint. Again, thank you, John Pennington at John Rod's Drop Beams. I am so gigged to get this thing on the ground. I want to see how this looks. I'm 1 coil down. I'm 4.5 inches on the beam. I'm hoping that gives me about 6 inches. We'll see. I got a little pressure on it now. You can't tell anything. There's not enough weight really on the front of this. It needs the rest of the front end on it. But that's the install of these things. They're basic. They're easy. I mean, I farmed out the kingpins because it was the smartest thing for me to do. That way, when I got them back, they're ready to bolt in. So I don't know what that would have cost. Larry hooked me up with that. I don't know what that normally would cost to get done, but to me, it was worth it. Time-wise, saved a ton of time. I dropped them off. I picked them up. They were ready to put in. So they are both in. They are both bolted up. After I got the links bolted up and the C brackets in, I put a little piece of rubber on the inside of here because there was one. It was like a rubber washer. I imitated it as best I could. Got the dust cover bolted back on. So once I get the rotors, I can get those on, get my calipers on, hook up my brake lines, and I should be able to start bleeding brakes. Although I have run into a bit of a problem on the rear. I ordered brake pads for back here 3 or 4 weeks ago. Apparently, the rear brake pads for a 1990 Lincoln Mark 7 LSC are on intergalactic back order. Nobody had them. Ordered them from Napa originally. I checked around after a week or two of them telling me they're not available, they're out of stock, blah, blah, blah. O'Reilly's, Advance, I checked pretty much everywhere. Everybody was out of stock. So I did some digging. Of course, I went through the Amazon thing. Amazon's search function is horrible. But couldn't find anything on there. So I was like, I got to get something going on. I got to figure this out. I mean, I could use those old brake pads if I have to, but they're not in the best shape. I could clean them up and maybe I'd get the trip out of them. I'd get 3,000 miles out of them, but I'm glad I kept them. I need some, so I kept digging. Finally I hit up eBay. I found the part number. I found a Wagner part number. Hit eBay and found somebody that had some. They're on the way. I was wondering if maybe a couple days after the order I was going to get the email. Oh, sorry, they're really not available. We thought we had them. We didn't have them. I got the confirmation this morning that they have been shipped and they're in the possession of the USPS and they are coming my way. So let's hope that is a true thing. Day 65, that's it. Got some suspension back under the front. As soon as I get the rotors, we'll be rocking. Oh, Woody stopped by tonight. I mentioned that earlier. He brought me spray outs for my wheels, my wheel color. I told him the other day, I said, charcoal gray. I prefer a darker charcoal. He said, what do you want? Flat, semi, gloss? I said, you know what? Charcoal, I prefer dark. Surprise me on the rest. He brought me some spray outs tonight of some like semi-gloss. I guess he used some kind of additive in the clear, and the spray outs look kick ass. It's exactly what I'm looking for, is a dark charcoal. I think he's using a Ford color or something. I think he said it was they use it on Fusion a lot. J7? I don't remember. But it's a good looking color. It's dark. They're going to look black probably in the night. But when the light hits them, they've got some pearl. That gray's got some pearl in it, I think. And it looks good. So we talked about center cap and how we're going to paint the center cap and the offsetting color that I'm going to do the little Ford, the embossed Ford area, and maybe do a stripe around the outside edge of the wheel. I'm going to take that to Bob Bond. He did my center caps for the 57, pinstriped them, and did that little embossed Ford area because I'm running the same caps that I did on the 57. So I'll take them, those, still trying to figure out the offsetting color, but really looking forward to getting to that point where, hey, I'm thinking about a center cap and not everything else. So day 65, I'm rambling, but I'm excited that we're getting past some of this stuff and getting some work done. Tomorrow's going to be electrical. Wish me luck. Day 65.